Hi, everyone. Today, I want to talk about positivity and why it is really important to stay positive, particularly in these times that we're going through right now with everybody being still on lockdown for COVID. I've mentioned before that I live in Michigan, and it's been discussed in the last couple of days that our governor is going to continue the shutdown order, this stay at home order for possibly another 2 weeks. Now, one of the things that I do for myself personally is I read a lot and I listen to a lot of audiobooks. And right now, I just happen to be listening to, bear with me one second, The Leadership Challenge by, I'm going to butcher his name, James Kozes, and then Barry Posner. And while I was listening to it this morning, it's just so funny how things really happen the way they're meant to happen. So I was listening this morning, and a section of the book really, really caught my interest and was talking about positivity because I was still trying to figure out what I was going to talk about today. And I stopped it. I was listening to it on audiobook because I like to read books and listen to books at the same time. I have a Kindle. I've got regular books that I read. I've got a whole stack on my nightstand. And then I listen to audiobooks when I'm in the car, when I'm in the grocery store. Instead of listening to the radio, I do not listen to the radio anymore. I stopped paying for Sirius XM radio, and I listen to audiobooks and podcasts and stuff like that because I'm a huge proponent of personal and professional development. Anyway, so while I was listening to the book this morning, he was talking about positivity, and I was absolutely blown away because, I mean, everything that he was saying was true, and I decided that I needed to write down what I heard so that I could share it with you and discuss it a little bit. So this is an excerpt from that book, and I'm going to read it because I don't want to screw anything up. But a positive approach to life broadens people's idea about future possibilities, and these options build on each other. According to Barbara Fredrickson, professor of psychology at the University of North Carolina, her findings indicate that being positive opens you up. She says the first core truth about positive emotions is that they open our hearts and our minds, making us more receptive and more creative. As positivity flows through people, they see more options and become more innovative. And this is so true, so absolutely true. Unfortunately, as time drags on and this whole thing drags on, it's going to take a lot more for us to remain positive. I mean, it's truly going to take a lot for us to remain positive. I keep seeing tons of negative posts, particularly people who are upset about other people that are out, that they see out without masks or gloves, or they just see people out. You know, why aren't they staying home? Because of them, I'm stuck in my house, and they become, very irate and very resentful. And these types of feelings, they build on each other, right? So negativity breeds negativity, and you end up having all of these negative thoughts that are just continuously running through your head. So, why can't I go out? Why am I stuck at home? Why can't I find toilet paper? Why am I limited to how much I can buy? My family's sick. I'm worried about whatever. And it just keeps going and going and going. But the interesting thing is, I have a lot of friends who are entrepreneurs. And the entrepreneurs are the ones that are doing really well right now because they're using this time to be really creative. They're using this time to create products and programs, to refine their message, to refine their target audience. And they're sharing their thoughts and their offerings with people, and they're having a really, really great reception for what they're sharing. And that's because they're being positive. So they're using this time productively, and they understand that this time is a time that you're supposed to be doing, and I've said it before, using it for reflection. Instead of looking outward, they're looking inward. That's right, Susie. Time is opportunity to learn and grow. And I'm using this time productively. I am cranking out stuff left, right, and sideways. I am getting a lot of stuff done. I am getting programs that I have been on the back burner forever done, and it's making me even more positive, and it's making me even more creative, and it's making me think even more about the future. Okay, well, I did this, now where can that take me? And then, so I used to play chess. And as a chess player, you have to think, 2 to 3 moves ahead. So you're constantly looking at, okay, if this happens, then what? Then what? Then what? Then what? So you're constantly have, in your head, all these different moving pieces. And because of that, I'm doing all these things and I'm creating all this stuff. And then I'm thinking ahead to the future. Okay, well, this is done now. Where do I want this to go? Where do I want that to go? And it's making me a lot more creative and a lot more productive. And it's making me a hell of a lot happier, because I'm thinking about the future. I'm thinking about possibilities. I'm thinking about all the wonderful things I can create. I'm thinking about all of the people that I can help. And I'm not allowing this time to really drag me down into the muck. I'm not allowing it to, make me be sad or upset or, feel sorry for myself or anything like that. So it's really, really important to try. And I know it's hard. I know it can be so hard to remain positive, particularly if, you're in a really small place and you're stuck with people you particularly don't like to spend a significant amount of time with. To try and remain positive, especially, if you have kids in the house and you're trying to get work done and, they're constantly craving attention. I was talking to a friend of mine, and she was telling me that her, 7-year-old is, they're home. All the kids are home, right? School is closed, and she's trying to work during the day, and he's constantly just trying to get her attention. And, it's difficult because you've got priorities, and then you've got priorities. And we need to take this time to truly figure out what our real priorities are. Is your work, which, your work brings in an income and it helps you to pay the bills and do whatever. But on the other hand, you also have your family. You have your spouse or your partner that's with you. You have your children. Maybe you have parents with you or grandparents. There's people that you're responsible for. They're also your priorities. So you need to try and figure out which priorities are more important. Maybe you need to set rules and guidelines. Okay, during the day, work for an hour, play for an hour. Work for an hour, play for an hour, if that's something that you can do. And then if you set these rules and these boundaries and these guidelines, and you say, look, this is really important, for this hour, for the play hour, I'll spend time with you. We'll go for a walk. We'll do whatever. We'll watch television. We'll do, play a game. But then for an hour, I need to work, and I need you to, be quiet, play a game by yourself, draw, write, do something creative, and, spend that time in that way so that the people that you're, spending the time with, they're working with you instead of against you. And when you're getting these people to work with you instead of against you, that really helps you to be positive and to remain positive. So if you have all these people that are working against you, it's just going to drag you down. It's going to make you feel dejected, and it's going to make you feel sad and angry and upset. And you're really just going to be pissed off, and you're not going to be happy. And you're really going to dread the next however long we're all going to be stuck, in lockdown. And yeah, Susie's scheduling a routine for, when he's home and you're available. And it's so true. Like, I am in my office right now. I have my door shut. I've got a sign on the door. My husband knows I am doing this. I'm here with you. I'm trying to help, share some positivity and some messages to try and help people through these times. And he's respectful of that. He's not going to come and open the door because he understands that this is a priority for me. And in the same respect, if he has something that he's doing and he says, hey, from this time to this time, I'm going to be doing this. And I'll say, okay, well, I'm going to respect your boundaries, and I'm going to respect your time, and I'm going to let you do what you need to do when you need to do it. And I'm not going to bother you unless like the house is burning down or something like that. But if you get people working with you instead of against you, it's truly going to help you to be more positive. And last week I spent a little bit of time talking about gratitude, the two things that one thing really that you need to do every day is to, just think about the things that you're grateful for. I was talking to somebody today about, things that so I live in Michigan, and I think it's only a Midwest thing. We have a coffee company called Tim Hortons. It's a Canadian coffee company, and they have limited hours at their stores right now because of COVID. And I really like their coffee. It's delicious. And the last couple days, I've found myself their window being open. And yesterday, I had to go out, and I happened to be out before their shut-off time at noon. So I was super excited because I was like, oh my God, it's not noon yet. I can go to Tim Hortons and get a coffee. So it was like 11:56, and I'm like tearing through the parking lot to get to the drive-through before they closed at noon. And I got my coffee, and I took a picture, and I texted it to like 4 people because I was so excited that I was able to get a Tim Hortons coffee before they closed. It was like the greatest thing ever. So, I mean, it's just funny, these little things that we take for granted on a daily basis, things like going to get a haircut, going and having, your nails done, going and sitting down in a restaurant, eating, thinking about all these things that we're going to be able to get back to when life starts going back to, I don't want to say normal, because normal doesn't work. Normal didn't work before, and hopefully nothing returns to normal the way it was before. Hopefully things change, and we're all changed because of it, and we're all better people. But thinking about all these things that we have that we're just, again, take for granted, things to be super grateful for. Something as simple as a coffee from your favorite coffee shop. I'm, going to the library. Our library's been closed. I can't go to the library and get a book. I used to go at least once a week to get a book from the library, and now I'm absolutely devastated. For about the first 2 weeks, they were allowing people to check out books over the phone, and then they would put them in the lobby for you to come and pick up. But then after our governor did the stay home, stay safe order, they decided to close. Now, I can still get books via, e-reader. But I don't know, there's just something, Kindle's great, but there's just something that I love about having an actual book in my hand and reading it. And a lot of times there's a book that I want to read that I don't really want to buy until I check it out and see if it's something that I might like, and then I might think about adding it to my library. So, I'm truly, truly missing having something like a library, being able to go into the grocery store with, my husband, because right now you can only go one person at a time in the store. So we have ducks, and we have to go shopping. So like I'll go for groceries. I'm vegan, and so I eat a lot of fresh fruits and vegetables. So I have no choice but to go out every week and go grocery shopping because um, fresh fruits and vegetables don't really keep very well in the refrigerator for longer than a week. So I'll go to the grocery store and he'll go to the feed store and get feed for the animals. And I'm in the grocery store because the feed store, you can only have one person at a time in there too. So thinking about these things and the things that you're truly looking forward to, opportunities, whatever you can do to try and remain positive. If you feel a negative feeling pop up, you think something negative, try to be mindful about catching that thought as soon as it comes into your head. Recognize that you're actually thinking that thought and say to yourself, okay, I understand that this is something you want to share with me right now, but I'm going to choose something different. I am going to choose to shift my thoughts to something more positive. You have the power to choose what you think about. And if you just continue to think about negativity, if you continue to dwell on, what's going on in the world and all of it, like, I can't do this, I can't do this, instead of saying, I can't do this, again, think about the possibility of doing it again in the future because it's coming. It might not be tomorrow like all of us want it to be, but, think about that instead of the negative. I can't. Think about what you can do, what you have available, and what's going to be possible for you for the future. I know it's really, really hard and it's a lot to ask. It truly is. And it's not an easy process. I'm a Buddhist and I have a Buddhist practice. And they call it a practice for a reason because you never really master it. I mean, it's continual. The thoughts never stop. I mean, I've been a practicing Buddhist for almost 20 years. And you would think by now that the negative, like I would be able to have like zero negative thoughts, zero judgment, but that's just not the way our brains work. It's not the way our brains are wired. And I have to constantly catch the negative thoughts that are going through my head. I have to constantly be aware of all the negativity that I'm thinking about. I mean, it happens all the time. Sometimes I just let it go. Sometimes I catch it and I say, wait, we're going to shift this right now. And I'm not even going to like entertain this thought. And you have to just let it go. And start to think about something different. Think about, I wished I could say that I could think about beautiful weather, but I'm in Michigan and it's been cold and rainy and snowy all week. Although tomorrow is supposed to be like 57 and partly cloudy. So I'm kind of super excited about that. So think about, the nicer weather and how great it's going to be when it's summertime and, we can all go outside again and do fun things. So just, I don't know, shift your thoughts. It's so hard. It really is. It truly is one of the hardest things that you can overcome is changing your thoughts. But I can absolutely guarantee you that if you can just start with one. Write down, one of them pops in, just write it down. And then pick one, because I can guarantee you that whatever it is that your brain is saying to you, it's not the first time it said it, and it certainly won't be the last time. And every time that thought comes into your head, try and think of a way to rephrase it so that it's positive. Or if your brain is trying to tell you that you can't do something, or you're not good at something, or you're not lovable or whatever, switch it to yet. I can't do that yet, because that shifts the entire paradigm and it opens possibility up. So, okay, maybe I can't, whatever. I can't climb a mountain. Maybe I can't climb Mount Everest. I wouldn't recommend doing that, honestly. Read Into Thin Air by John Krakauer. I wanted to climb Mount Everest until I read that book. Absolutely horrifying. And that thought went right out of my head. But anyway, so, okay, maybe I can't climb Mount Everest yet. Okay, something like that takes time. It takes training. So if I put yet after it, then that opens up the possibility that there's some point in the future it could happen. And if you keep shifting that to the yet, or if it's a negative thing and you change it to a positive thing, and you write it down as an affirmation. So last week I talked about affirmations. Week before I talked about affirmations, and I put a link for some affirmation downloads if anyone was interested. But whatever it is that it's saying, you can go online and you can find a positive affirmation to change that thought. And so write the positive affirmation down. Just write it over and over and over again. So this is my daily planner. And these are my affirmations that I write every single day. Every day I write the affirmations over and over and over again. Because the more you write it, the more you say it, the more you believe it. And eventually, that one thought just disappears, the negative thought. It goes away. It's kind of interesting how it happens, but it really does. It might take a week, it might take a month, it might take 6 months, depending on the thought and how deeply rooted it is inside you. Because there are some things that get inside of us that are there for a long, long time. Like one of my biggest ones, when I was younger, I used to hear a lot, "You're never going to amount to anything." And I use that as, when I got older, what Marie Forleo calls FU fuel. But then that changed into something completely different, because, okay, I was thinking, I'm never going to amount to anything. I'm going to do whatever I can to prove myself. But then instead of forgetting that I don't need to really prove myself to anybody, because you don't have to prove yourself to anyone. The only person whose opinion of you matters is you. Your opinion of yourself is the only opinion that matters. No one else's thoughts or feelings or opinions about you mean shit. They don't. They don't mean anything. They only have whatever power you ascribe to it. Do not give anybody else that power. Do not give anyone else that power over you. Never, ever give anyone that power, because once you give it, it's so hard to get back. Anyway, so I went from proving myself to seeking validation. Okay, I've done this. Now look at what I've done. Now tell me you're proud of me. And that just led to a whole bunch of other problems. And that's just another story for a whole nother day. And it caused me a lot of strife, a lot of anguish, and a lot of issues. So that's one that I've struggled with for years to work on overcoming. Understanding that it didn't matter what that person said of me. All that mattered was what I think of myself. And for a long time, I didn't think very highly of myself at all. I thought very poorly of myself. And it wasn't even until a couple of years ago that I started actually feeling really good about myself and truly feeling like I was worthy of anything. And that shift, that very specific shift, was what brought about me writing my book. I don't have a copy of it with me, or I would show you. Again, I showed you guys last week because I was so excited because I just published it and it's out available now. But anyway, getting past these feelings and choosing positive thoughts, shifting your thoughts, writing affirmations, repeating affirmations, saying them out loud until the negative thought disappears. It's so crucial. It's so vitally important to your health and to your sanity and, for your happiness. You really can't be happy if you allow all these negative thoughts to just take over your life and to control the way you think and feel. It's just, life is never going to be good for you if that's the way it is. So you have to always try. I know it's hard to stay positive, to be positive, and to just do whatever you can to make your life better. Lao Tzu said it best when he said, when you change your thoughts, the rest of your life will fall into place. And there's no truer sentiment ever spoken in the entire world. Change your thoughts, change your life. So stay positive, stay healthy. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I truly appreciate it. I hope you guys really got something out of this, and that you try really hard to stay positive and, try to make the most of what we're given. When life hands you lemons, make lemonade. So we will see you next week at 7 o'clock. Thanks again for joining me.